The Spirituality Now podcast is sponsored by Delaflor Teachings International, a spiritual and systemic coaching and consulting company with the mission to help individuals, businesses, and corporations create brilliant futures through sustainable transformation. Also sponsored by the Network for Human Empowerment, a philanthropic TV network that serves Spanish-speaking communities with free, conscious education aimed to empower individuals to become the best versions of themselves. And our podcast producer, Ascend Media, Authority Syndication, delivering premium video marketing, podcast production, and social syndication.
Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, a podcast committed to supporting you in your journey to life mastery and personal enlightenment. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, formerly known as Sovereign Futures. As you know, we recently did brand name change, kind of a rebirthing. Not only the concept, but also the intention. The intention initially of the Sovereign Futures podcast was to actually deliver to the listener, especially in Latin America, tools and conversations that will help them in very crucial times for our country, and Mexico especially, design better futures now with practical tools that helps the human experience. But as I'm headed towards, my 50-year-old celebration and my way of refining my service to humanity, really my whole life I've been serving the spiritual niche. No matter how much I try to escape it, I always land on it and I surrender to that fact. So because of the plans that we have as a team, the philanthropies we're doing, the nonprofit organization we hold, that I've spoken about in other podcasts called Mastery Life, and how we desire to be of support to Latin America and other countries. Now the podcast is Spirituality Now. And what's spirituality now? The spirituality you're breathing in the moment. It's not books. It's not even the experience that tells us what spirituality is. It's actually the only experience that we have, which is in this moment, in this now. So I want to welcome my incredible guest, Jeff, and I'm recording in video, so I'm going to remove my glasses right now because I know that I get so animated that my glasses have flown away, like I just dropped them. And my guest, I met him during a gathering of tea, virtual gathering of tea, with one very sweet girl that has served as my teacher. And I always like to mention when I have younger teachers, younger on my age for me, because I think there is a value in sharing that. Jade, and she has been a guest in our podcast before, and she had this incredible gentleman and human being as a guest in one of her virtual meetings. And I joined pretty serious with my cup of tea, with my tea, with my notebook. And suddenly I found myself like, whoa, like I felt like a vortex of energy. Like when you are climbing a mountain and the wind comes and it announces to you, it lets you know that directions are going to change. Like the weather is going to change, kind of a shift of between the spring and the summer and fall. And the fall is one of the weather signals, that we can feel change is coming. I felt that. So I wasn't able, while I was listening, he's sharing with Jade, to write any notes. I wasn't able to even do the proper way of serving tea or nothing. I was reminded in that moment why I became not only a practitioner of tea, but a student of not only the plant, the tea, the mother of tea, Camellia sinensis, but of the connection with the human spirit through such a beautiful act of pouring water in a cup, putting leaves from a forest, of a bush, of a tree, harvested in a mountain. And suddenly I was taken to the now. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about Jeff. Jeff Fuchs is a Canadian explorer. I'm going to need my glasses for this. Mountaineer and writer. He gained prominence with his successful bid to become the first Westerner to trek the entire Yunnan, Tibet, ancient tea horse road. Okay, that sounds incredible. Just the words ancient tea horse road, if you're a tea lover like me, in that moment, it's like, you need nothing else. Stretching almost 6,000 kilometers through the Himalayas and a dozen cultures, documented in the book, The Ancient Tea Horse Road, travels with the last of the Himalayan Muleteers. He's also acting as an Asia editor-at-large for the Outpost magazine. Fuchs is a Canadian citizen of English-Hungarian heritage, born in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and as a child, he spent considerable time in Switzerland, where a staunch love of the mountains and climbing was established in him. Fuchs graduated from Dawson College in Montreal with a degree in commercial fine art photography. And when the biography says fine art photography, I think it's not making him justice. If you go to his Instagram, and I'll make sure to put all his links here, the photography is living. It's like tea. It's a living experience. He's fluent in several languages. I just speak English and Spanish, by the way, notably Mandarin and Tibetan. He divides his time between Canada, Shangrila County, China, and Europe. Fuchs has been published in World Geographic, Spanish Geographical Society, New Ideas, Outdoor Exploration, New Traveler, Silk Road Foundation, Outpost Magazine, Kyoto Journal, and the South China Morning Post, among others. He was an invited speaker for the annual North American Tea Conference in October 2010 to discuss the origins of tea and tea's ancient birthplace in southern Yunnan. Jeff Fuchs joined with Wild China as a tour group operator for a series of trips along the Tea Horse Road, beginning in late 2010. And Fuchs is a current member of the Explorers Club. He's also a Templar. He's also Templar Foods Global Tea Ambassador, sourcing and submitting blog posts from throughout Asia. Well, wow, just the bio, while Jeff is in the video just drinking his tea. Welcome, beloved Jeff. Thank you for granting this space of magic and time in your calendar. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be with your energy, Yvonne. That was quite the intro.
I know that, I would like to take the credit, but these were the girls, my team, that they were like, you got to say this and you got to say that. They're super excited that you are here. We all are. So yeah, right now you are, where in the world are you right now?
So now I'm based on Big Island of Hawaii. Oh. So this has been home for the last 2.5 years. And amongst other things, my wife and I run a nonprofit for kids, just getting kids off of screens, putting tents up, getting them to sit outside in the stars. There is a tea time. And there are a few places on the planet as visceral and tangible as the Big Island. So I'm based here for the time being.
Well, it's a really heart center place. I remember Hawaii, the spirit of, how they call the spirit of aloha, right? It's yes. Really palpable. It's not like in many cultures, you have words like in Mexico, you have the word in Lakesh, which is like namaste. But aloha is like, you are there in that spirit. And
yes.
Happy Father's Day. We're recording this on Father's Day. You recently had a baby, yes?
Yes, I did. Sebastian, he's a new addition, and he's throwing all of my philosophies and all my learnings out the window and giving me a whole bunch of new concepts, which is great.
Yeah, well, that's the duty of our children, to test the boundaries of our of what we thought we knew,
yes.
and to empty ourselves again like a cup. So how, Jeff, I know I don't know even where to start. Let's start in the mountains. How did your journey as a mountaineer, your love, your passion for this experience began in your life?
It started, the first time I remember a moment going into the body, the system, the blood, the heart. Mm. I was in Switzerland as a young boy, I don't know, 4 or 5, and my grandmother taking me into the Alps and letting me loose. And I don't know if, I'm sure many people feel this, but there are moments when you're younger, when you're not fully formed, you haven't developed a philosophy of living, you haven't figured out very many things, but you have a memory that it gets fixed up here and in the hands and in the blood. So my first memory was one of those moments when I just remember feeling, okay, there's something, I'm here, I'm conscious. So that sort of started it. And throughout my life, I think there's like a beacon, a homing device that takes me back there. And I think probably all of us have this feeling of where we belong in a physical space. Maybe some people don't get to be in that space very often or at all. For myself, in the early 2000s, I moved from the busy cities of Asia, from Taipei, Hong Kong. I was spending a lot of time, and I moved to Yunnan Province, and I moved to Zhongdian, Shangrila. And I made a decision that I wanted to leave certain methods of living behind and work from the mountains, because I was writing about the mountains. I was researching the mountains, the history, the oral narratives. And I thought, I cannot do this sort of thing from a city. Even if I was there a week ago, I don't feel it's generous to the mountains to be writing from the cities. So I stayed, and I ended up staying for 10 years. And, you love a place when you start to hate it a little bit, or it's not all. Yeah. That's when it becomes a home too. You realize that your struggles are there. It's not just a romantic vacation. You're suffering, you're enjoying, you still have those moments, but so I think that's consistent through my life, at least. And it's consistent still now.
Wow. Oof. Yeah, those moments. And when you moved to Yunnan, I'm a lover of China and all of that life. I came back in 2019, exactly before the pandemic. I went to the Shaolin Temple and studied with the Shaolin monks, tea ceremony with them. Not Kung Fu. I just want Gong Fu, don't Kung Fu for me. But I do feel the sense of home, and that sense of like, it's not even love and hate, it's building you up, right? It's like when water falls into a mountain and it's making it rugged, right? It's like the wrinkles in our human faces is showing the character of an experience. So I love that. And so you began to return home, and it began to call you back, because that's what it does. It has a vacuum kind of feeling. It has gravity to our soul. And when you started with the mountain, what is it? What was your spiritual connection? What did you feel like with the mountain? Because I know that for you, the mountains is not, many people talk about the mountain and it's like there. It's like a rock formation. But with you, I feel that is this one being interacting with you. What has the mountain taught you?
I mean, for me, I think the ocean is that thing for other people. For me, the mountains, so much of living within them, the people that reside within them, the people that struggle and love within them, there's a visceral. It's something very visceral, tangible. And in the mountains, you find very quickly what doesn't matter, and you find out very quickly what is essential for me, you. So for me, it was like shaving off a lot of excess and going back into a few essentials. And when you do that, at least for me, you have that point, that access point of focus. The mountains are an extremely physically demanding place